Okay, this is a short video to go over the product rules and how they apply in simplifying square roots. The first thing that I want to remind you of is what a perfect square is. A perfect square is any number, like a squared is at any number, so it's any number that has two identical integer factors. So for instance, I know that 5 times 5 equals 25. So that means 25 is a perfect square. How about, let's look at the number 12. I have 3 times 4 equals 12. I have 2 times 6, 1 times 12, but none of these factors are identical, so 12 is not a perfect square. So we're interested in solving square roots, but one thing that will help us is if we know what perfect squares are, what that number looks like. So suppose we have a number that is a perfect square. A perfect square, to take the square root of it, I take the perfect square, I break it into its two identical factors, and once I break it into its two identical factors, the square root is taken by taking one of the numbers out, and the square root symbol disappears. And how do you know you have the right answer? If I take that number that I've got, I multiply it to itself, I'll get the number that I started with, I'll get it back out. So for example, if I have the number 49, the square root of 49 can also be written as 7 times 7. Well, to take the square root of 7 times 7, one of the 7's come out and the radical disappears. So the square root of 49 is equal to 7. Okay. I want to do another example. Let's take the square root of 20. Well, neither one of those are perfect squares, so I can't do anything with the rule that I have. Can I use 2 times 10? Nope, they're not identical, so I can't take the square root that way. So that leaves me that I have to do something else. Okay, let's go down here and we'll talk about this in a minute. Let's go down here and let's do the rule that I've got down here. So if I have some number AB, it can be broken down in its two factors, A times B. Let's go back to our example of square root of 12 here in just a minute. So if I take the square root of A times AB, I can break it apart. A times B, there's its two factors, and then those two factors can be written underneath their own square root symbol or the radical. So let's use the square root of 12. That equals the square root of 4 times 3, and I can go even further and write it as the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. See how I broke it apart in its two factors? I could also use the square root of 2 times 6. And what would that be? The square root of 2 times the square root of 6. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about this rule by using these two up here. Let's go back to our example of 20 right here. This rule helps us to break it down all the way. So let's say I have the square root of 20. Let's break it down into two factors. And I'm going to use the 4 and the 5 that I used before. But isn't the 4, I can write it by itself according to this second rule here. and I can put the 5 right there according to this second rule. But when I apply the first rule, that's 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is a perfect square. 1, 2 will come out. Can this 5 come out? No, it's like the b right here. It can't come out. So what my final answer ends up being is 2 square roots of 5. Let's go back and try a different example. Let's do the square root of 12 that we started with. We finish erasing this real quick. Alrighty. Let's use blue. So let's take the square root of 12. So that'll be 2 times 6. And now I don't see a perfect square in it anywhere, do I? Well, let's break this apart a little bit more. 2 times 6. Well, 6, let's use this product rule here again. Well, that's 2 times 3. Now do you see our perfect square there? So 2 times 2 times the square root of 3. There's 2 2's right there. One of them comes out. The radical is gone. And I end up with 3. So there's a brief review on how to use the product rules to simplify square roots. Make sure you know your multiplication tables. If you don't know your times tables, simplifying square roots is very, very difficult. So happy homework and have a good day. Thank you.